When you walk into San Luigi dei Francesi on a Roman morning, you step into a church that has been alive for nearly 500 years. The light comes through in a particular way. It has always come through in that particular way. It seeps into the dark Contarelli Chapel and the masterpieces of Caravaggio. And at that moment you realize you are standing in the presence of something made to be exactly here, in exactly this light, and also perhaps exactly this moment in your life. Italy is not a museum. Italy is a living space, and Rome is the heart of a civilization, though it wasn't always. For the first centuries of the Christian faith, the heart beat elsewhere, in Jerusalem, where Christ was crucified and rose, and in North Africa. Carthage, Alexandria, Hippo, where the deepest theological minds of early Christianity did their work. Rome inherited its primacy only later in the 7th century, as the old lands fell to the armies of the new Muslim religion, shifting the weight of Christendom west. What survived was consolidated here, became the Western imagination that we know today. And in this church, representing France in the heart of Rome, in this chapel, Caravaggio, in his first major commission, and certainly still his most famous, left 3 paintings that ask you to look at your faith, at our daily transactions and occupations, at transformation, not as a doctrine, as a deeply human experience. The first is the calling of Saint Matthew. Matthew sits at a table counting money. He is a tax collector, a man representing the law, oppressive, heartless, a man whose main occupation in life is counting and taking. On the right, Christ enters the frame, and his hand reaches out to Matthew. The hand is the hand of God. It is the same gesture Michelangelo painted on the Sistine Chapel ceiling, where God reaches out to give life to Adam at the moment of creation. Caravaggio knew this. He looked at Michelangelo's God and painted Christ using the same hand, the same gesture of divine calling, reaching out across the distance between worlds. In a single gesture, Caravaggio says, Christ is the Son of God. And it is also a wink to Michelangelo, an acknowledgement of divine talent bestowed on artists. The light in this painting is extraordinary. It cuts through darkness. It illuminates Matthew's face at the moment he understands. Everything changes in that light. Everything has always changed in that light. The painting facing the viewer directly is the inspiration of Saint Matthew, the saint at his desk writing the gospel, while an angel leans close, guiding his hand. There is intimacy here, the human and the divine merging. The third, on the right, is the martyrdom of Saint Matthew. It shows the saint's final moment caught mid-mass, the composition alive with movement and violence and light breaking through it all, creation, inspiration and sacrifice, the full arc of life given over to something larger than itself. Caravaggio was drawing on a folk tradition, but also on the older Renaissance practice of painting Christ's life panel by panel, birth to death, the cycle, the movement forward made visible. These were not painted for a museum wall, where we are used to seeing art today, often in a white box. These were painted exactly for this light, this space, this liturgy. When you stand in front of them, you are not looking at art history. You are standing where people have stood for 400 years, asking the same questions they asked. What does it mean to feel God's presence? What does it mean to trust and to be transformed? On a practical note, the chapel closes at midday. Come in the morning or in the afternoon. And for those who collect at the highest register, a quiet fact worth knowing. Of everything Caravaggio ever painted, only 68 works survive. And of those, only 5 remain in private hands. When one surfaces, it does not stay quiet for long. Italy itself paid 30 million euros this year to keep a single rediscovered portrait from ever reaching the open market, which is to say, difficult, yes, rare, beyond rare, but for the right collector, with the right patience, not entirely closed.